Hello, everyone. I hope I've got my audio just right. You might notice there's some new rules for the stream now. Feel free to take a look at them right now. I know there's quite a lot of it, but there seems to be something weird going on. Oh, yeah. I gotta close the chat box. That's better. Okay, so today is a very important day, at least in my opinion, and the reason for that, of course, is that it is, if my memory serves correctly, the 70th anniversary of the coup d'etat of the Iranian government, in which which according to declassified CIA documents was the result of a CIA plot at the behest of the British government due to their concerns that the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company's assets were going to be nationalized by the Iranian government at the time under the parliamentary rule of Mohammad Mossadegh. And it's one of those things that is a dirty little secret in American history that no one really likes to talk about and usually isn't discussed in detail in American history classes, unfortunately. But it's part of one of several different intervention campaigns on the part of the United States government. And for context, if my memory is correct as well, the reason that the oil was being nationalized in Iran was because the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company was not fulfilling its legal obligations to provide certain types of financial compensation for their access to the fields. And as a result of that, the Iranian government was like, no, we're not going to have this. We're not going to take it sitting down. So they nationalized it, or at least they tried to, but then the British government under Winston Churchill got in touch with the Eisenhower administration, and they said, yeah, you need to do something about this because it was the height of the Red Scare, of course, and the Soviet Union was pretty close by, if not sharing a direct border with it at the time. And there was just this general concern that if one country fell to communism, that all countries would fall to communism, and really any sort of justification could have been given to say that communism was happening, even when it wasn't. For example, if my memory serves correctly, Mexico nationalized their oil and no one really batted an eye. But when Iran tried to do it, everybody lost their minds. And yeah, that's as far as I remember. Around the same time, the Eisenhower administration had thought it was a good idea to have the so-called Atoms for Peace program set up. And this program Atoms for Peace would set up some of the groundwork for Iran's nuclear program back in the 50s, and as a result of the coup and the insertion of the Shah as the main leader, Shah being the Persian term for king. Because of that, it seems like a good idea to grant them access to nuclear fissile technology when it came to generating electricity, because the Shah was pretty amenable to the US government and the British government. But it completely backfired, of course, because in the 1970s, the Shah would be overthrown and a very anti-Western theocracy would be put in its place that to this day is inching closer and closer to getting an atomic weapon, which is definitely bad. And I was originally going to have this stream be the first bonus stream of the day, followed by a regular stream with Pokemon Violet, but unfortunately I had to lay some ground rules, and it took me a while to hammer all those out. That and a bunch of other distractions. So, yeah. And to kind of commemorate this, I was going to play a game that I had been drawn attention to by one of the developers of the Cat and the Coup. I'm trying to remember his name. He was over at the Game Development Club over at San Jose State back in 2013. I'm trying to remember his name. I want to pronounce it correctly. I think it was Korash Nejad, who came over and did a presentation on it. I'll leave some links associated with that presentation after the stream ends, and probably create a better thumbnail and do a bunch of other stuff, like provide some historical information associated with that. So, yeah. I should also note that even though the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company was able to have access to the oil fields, it still didn't necessarily get everything. And ironically enough, all that really changed in the end wasn't the kinds of things they had in mind, and they just kind of found themselves kind of making a side grade from what I was able to read up on it. Like, their conditions didn't improve, like they didn't get a better deal out of the overthrow of the government. And yeah, that's and other Cold War shenanigans would take place as a result of American intervention, and feels bad, man. Feels really bad. It's one of those things I'm not very proud of my country doing, and it's not the only one, of course. If you go to the CIA's website, they have a timeline, and they describe around the same time that the coup in Iran took place, there was a similar coup that took place over in Guatemala, was it? If my memory serves correctly. And that also was an unmitigated disaster for geopolitics in the long term. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you might know the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company by their more recent name. And that recent name, of course, is British Petroleum. I'll just let that sink in for a moment. That's literally the same BP that had subcontracted Deepwater Horizons to drill in the Gulf Coast, that ultimately lost control of their, what's it called? Their oil rig, causing one of the worst oil spills in American history, if not the worst oil spill in American history, and also led to the largest fine in all of American history as well, due to all the damage that's resulted from that. So yeah, I think I've given enough context on this matter. So I guess I'm just going to whip open the game, and hopefully it actually functions properly. I had to change the resolution of my screen to make sure it actually worked. It's going to cross over to, where was it? I have the tab here somewhere. Yeah, excellent. So, I've got the right stuff muted. I should be able to get started. It's going to be a pretty short game, if I'm going to be quite honest. But anyway, let's get started. Mohammad Mossadegh is dead. Former Prime Minister of Iran was 86 at the time. Nationalized the oil industry in 1951. Stirring storm. Now there's going to be a lot of symbolic art around here. A lot of it will make sense near the end of it if you pay close enough attention. It's going to be pretty quick, so you might want to pause it. But let's take a trip back to the past. Not to March 5th, 1967, but a little further back. It's August 4th, 1956. Mossadegh ends his prison term for the plot to overthrow the Shah. Placed under house arrest inside of a walled village. Come on, Mossadegh. Anyway, January 21st, 1962, the Iranian police crash with pro-Mossadegh students. Mossadegh denies any connection. Court-martial nears a verdict. The Shah of Iran asks for mercy for Mossadegh's life in a mock trial on December 20th, 1953. Just a little bit more chaos. let's go down this warp pipe. It's August 20th, 1953. Dr. Mossadegh surrenders by phone 24 hours after fleeing the mob. October 30th, 1951. Harry S. Truman urges Mossadegh to settle British oil disputes. U.S. assistance is, at the time, available. I really wish that YouTube still had, what's it called? Those little boxes telling people exactly certain side notes and stuff, but I think they got rid of notes a while ago, unfortunately. And now, it's time to let the cat out of the bag. It's March 20th, 1951. Iran's Majlis Parliament nationalizes the oil industry. British claims this is a threat to the security of the world. And now we'll be able to see things from a different perspective. May 1st, 1951, nationalists and Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh elected Prime Minister of Iran. As we float on up, we'll see a lot of the symbolic art replaced with some more overt references. The bulldog, of course, being Winston Churchill. The giant peacock bird being the Shah. Anyway, where was I? Mossadegh, please the Americans, remember your own revolution. January 7th, 1952. 1951, Man of the Year, Iranian George Washington, and that is the comparison. CIA employs $1 million to bring the fall of Mossadegh on April 4th, 1953. CIA officer Kermit Roosevelt Jr. enters Iran at remote location. Royalist asks Mossadegh, and army seizes him. Shah solemnly toasts Roosevelt. I owe my throne to God, my people, my army, and to you. I should also note Actually, no, hold on a sec. We got some extra text. Mossadegh, as prisoner, still stirs the masses. Iranian government seeks to dispose of myth before changing policies. November 14th, 1953. January 21st, 1962. Iranian police clash with pro-Mossadegh students. Mossadegh denied contact with the outside world. And of course, we go back to where we started in the game. Mossadegh ends prison term, placed under house arrest in walled village. And back once again to March 5th, 1967, the passage of Mohammad Mossadegh. And that was The Cat in the Coup by Peter Brinston and Korosh Valadnejad. So yeah, I got to see Valadnejad himself, got an autographed poster of the game itself. It was really nice to go and take a look at what he was able to bring to fruition along with all these other people over at the University of Southern California. And yeah, that was The Cat in the Coup. Oh. If you have any thoughts, feel free to let me know. I should probably note that the one individual that they described as Kermit Roosevelt Jr., if my memory serves correctly again, was the son of Kermit Roosevelt Sr., who was the son of Teddy Roosevelt. I wish I was kidding. I wish I was kidding. Oh, hello there. Welcome to the stream. You kind of missed out on most of it, but I should be able to just kind of hop on over. But I was glad I was able to get this stream in on time before it strikes midnight in my time zone. But yeah, let me go back to some of the information that I had floating around. Yeah. Kermit Roosevelt Jr. called Kim, as was standard, alternating generations of the Kermits in the Roosevelt family, was born to Kermit Roosevelt Sr., son of U.S. President Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. This according to the New York Times. And yeah, it's just one of those things that happened in the 1950s in the name of what was called containment. And the entire world is suffering the consequences ever since. I should note that Kermit was single-handedly responsible for actually letting the coup go all the way through, because the first time the coup went through, it kind of failed, but everybody let their guard down, and the Americans finally started to express some apprehension at fulfilling the coup, but then Kermit Roosevelt Jr. was like, hold my beer, this job ain't done. More specifically, he would say, let's see. Ba-da-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba. The coup is called Operation Ajax. I'm trying to look for some more information. I know there's a famous quote about him. But yeah, that was the entirety of that. Hello again. I'm still here. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this stream, actually. I could probably go into more details. There's a huge wiki article on the nationalization crisis and the international embargo on Iranian oil after nationalization and a lot of the geopolitical tensions that took place around the time. Let's see. Let's see. U.S. publishes report on its role in Iran in the coup. Trying to remember what BOA stands for. Oh well. But yeah. One revelation around 2017 was that the CIA attempted to call off the failing coup, but was salvaged by a subordinate spy. Of course, that subordinate spy being Kermit Roosevelt Jr. The report released by the U.S. had reached 1,700 pages, consisting of diplomatic cables and letters, according to VOA News. In March 2018, the National Security Archive released a declassified British memo alleging the United States Embassy sent large sums of money to influential people, namely senior Iranian clerics, in the days leading up to Mossadegh's overthrow. According to The Guardian, despite U.S. showing regrets about the coup, it has failed to officially issue an apology over its involvement. And I should note that there were quite a lot of motives for the U.S. government to try to overthrow the Iranian government at the time. One of them being the possibility that if the Americans didn't help the British with their own international interference, then there was the possibility that the British would pull out of the Korean War, which was happening around that time, and the Americans couldn't afford to lose that kind of military support. Yeah, that's another thing. I never got the chance to formally apologize for all the American intervention, but obviously I do sincerely apologize for that, even though there's nothing I can really do about it to fix it. And yes, Vietnam was one of the places that Americans tried to intervene, geopolitically speaking, and it's another one of those things that I'm not proud of either. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'll go and gather my notes, and I will leave them in the description of this live stream when I wrap it up. And yeah, hopefully I've gotten my point across. Maybe I'll have to make a separate video detailing everything with more sources and whatnot. But other than that, thank you all for watching. For everybody who has stopped by, I will see you in the next video. And until then, take care, stay awesome, stay true to yourself, and remember to never give up. Bye, everybody.